Most people think that insomnia is a sleep problem, but the real reason your insomnia hasn't gone away isn't because you forgot how to sleep. It's actually because you've accidentally built an identity around someone who can't sleep. So this here, we've got your true self. This is the real you. This is the version of you who already knows how to sleep naturally, effortlessly, because you were born with that ability. And then this over here, this is your survival self. This is the version of you who got caught in the worry, the anxiety, the trying to fix your sleep, the trying to control it, trying to force it. And here is the thing. Whatever version of you identify with becomes your reality. So if you've been identifying with the survival self, the one who's anxious, the one who's hyper aware of every sensation, the one who believes that sleep is so important that you can't live without it, then your brain will continue to produce the thoughts, emotions, and experience to match that identity. It's not because there's anything wrong with you, but it's because your brain is simply doing its job, which is preserving the identity that you are identifying with. So the real you, the true self, does not have insomnia. The real you sleeps easily, without effort, without worrying about it. And today I'm going to show you how to shift out of the insomnia identity and reconnect with the version of you who already knows how to sleep. And once you understand this, sleep stops being something that you try to do every night, and becomes something that just happens all on its own. It's like when you forgot what you were going to say, and then you sort of just ignore it and you keep talking about something else. And then all of a sudden the thought comes right back to you. It comes back effortlessly, automatically, without you even having to do anything. Sleep is the same way. Because the truth is, you didn't lose the ability to sleep. You just learned to identify with the part of you who feels like you can't. And once you shift this identity, your sleep changes automatically. You don't need the sleep tricks and the hacks. You don't need to try all the pills and whatever. You just return to the you that sleeps. Boom. So let's break this down. Because once you understand how identity works, you unlock the power to shift your sleep and also the power to shift any area of your life. Okay. Thoughts are not you. Thoughts are not yourself. So now that we've introduced the true self and the survival self, we need to talk about how identity forms in the first place. Because the truth is, most of the thoughts you think about yourself are not actually your own thoughts. They didn't start with you. They were learned. They were absorbed. They were programmed into you before you were even old enough to question any of it. So let me explain why that is. So from the moment you were born until about age 7, your subconscious mind was wide open like a sponge, absorbing everything happening around you. You didn't have the analytical part of your brain yet, the conscious mind. That's the part of the brain that can question things and say, is that actually true? Or does this belief serve me? Or is it not accurate? So anything you saw, felt, or were taught during those years before age 7, your subconscious mind stored all of that information as the way life works, as this is who I am. This is how life is. And this is where the survival self was formed. Not because anything was wrong with the people around you. I know it's easy to try to blame everybody else, right? We don't want to do that either. But it's really because every child learns how to stay safe emotionally and physically based off of these survival programs that they learned at such a young age. So maybe you learned that I need to follow the rules to be loved. I need to achieve. I need to be a high achiever to be loved. I need to keep it together emotionally because everybody else around me is a mess, right? I have to try really hard to be successful, or something bad might happen if I let my guard down, if I'm not having a plan A, B, C, D, and considering all these worst case scenarios. And then you can also learn that I need to fix everything. I need to figure everything out, this controlling program. Versus the true self over here does not operate that way. This is the real you who trust they're in the right place at the right time. They flow with life instead of trying to control everything. They're the ones who their flight gets canceled and they're just like, oh, apparently I'm not supposed to be on that plane. Let's figure out what's next. They're not freaking out over it. They surrender to life in the present moment and live from that energy of the present moment. In contrast, the survival self learned that if I stay alert, if I make sure I'm prepared, if I stay in control, then I will be safe. But all of those things are actually an illusion. They're not accurate. And that survival self, that part of you that tries to manage everything, is also the part that's trying to manage your sleep, overmanage it. It's trying to make sleep happen. It is trying to solve insomnia like a problem, as if it was the most important thing in the world that needed to be fixed. And that is exactly where your identity gets distorted, because your true self, the real you, the you that's underneath all of this, you already know how to sleep. You were born knowing how to sleep. Your body knows how to sleep. Your nervous system knows how to sleep. So there's nothing to learn. Sleep is not a skill. I used to say sleeping is a skill. It's not really a skill. It's actually a state that your body drops into naturally when it feels safe enough to let go. So when the survival self is in charge, the part of you that believes, I have to stay alert, I have to control this, something might go wrong, your body just won't allow sleep. Not because it can't, but because it thinks that these things are protecting you and that it's benefiting you. So this is why insomnia feels so personal. It feels so frustrating. It's not just trouble sleeping. It's actually your survival self trying to protect you, even though it is actually misunderstanding the situation. So this is where we transition into the pattern that keeps insomnia locked in place, which is this insomnia identity loop here. Because once the survival self gets involved with sleep, the brain starts to learn that being awake at night is actually what it's supposed to be doing, which is the opposite of what you want. It's so counterintuitive how all of this works. So your brain is learning that being awake at night is safer than falling asleep because the survival self has been running the show. And that's when your identity shifts from somebody who used to sleep, or somebody who sleeps easily all of the time. It shifts to somebody who now can't sleep anymore. Now I'm someone who can't sleep. And once that gets involved in the cycle, then now you're walking around telling everybody that you have insomnia, and it just keeps repeating this pattern. Okay, so let's break this down. Okay, so now we understand how identity is formed. So let's look at how insomnia itself becomes an identity, because it just doesn't happen overnight. It happens kind of through a spiral. I mean, I have it as a loop here, but you kind of get all tangled up in it. So it starts with a bad night. Maybe you were stressed. Maybe you had a fight with your parents or your spouse or your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whoever. Maybe it was something at work. Maybe you were still working late, and so your mind was just really activated thinking about things and problem solving. Can be anything, right? So you were stressed. Maybe it was something totally random. I don't know. But then you had a night where you couldn't sleep because of that. Then what happens next? You start to worry. Why did this happen? What if it happens again? What's wrong with me? So that worry is the survival self stepping in to try to protect you, because it thinks that being able to be in control of everything is protecting you. It thinks that if I figure this out by researching, then I'm going to be safe. So you start researching, you start Googling, you start watching videos, like this one, hopefully, but people, it takes a while. I mean, I don't want to say that. People are finding me faster. You're in the right place, okay? You start reading forums on Reddit, you join some insomnia support group on Facebook, and it just turns into this spiral, okay? So when you start researching, this is what happens. What do most articles about sleep say? They say sleep deprivation is dangerous. They say lack of sleep leads to disease. They say you need at least 8 hours of sleep or else, which immediately triggers fear. And you start thinking, oh, wait, this is really serious. I really need to fix this. this can't keep happening or I'm going to die. None of that is accurate. It's the survival self giving you those thoughts because it thinks it's helping you. But when the fear kicks in, survival self goes into full alert mode, which activates your sympathetic nervous system, which is the stress response, the fight or flight response, which causes your adrenal glands to produce cortisol, which is the stress hormone. And so then now you're even more alert. And when you're alert, you can't sleep. You just can't. When the adrenal glands release cortisol, that tells your brain to not produce melatonin, which is the hormone that puts you to sleep. So now we have less sleep, more worry, more research, more fear, more survival activation, which leads to the most important part of this loop, which is in the middle. I'm going to write this right now. The insomnia identity. You're now an insomniac. You've turned into an insomniac. You weren't one before, but now all of a sudden you're identifying as being somebody who can't sleep. You're caught up in the middle of it all. So you stop thinking, oh, I had a poor night of sleep one night, and you start thinking, oh, now I have insomnia. And then eventually I am someone who can't sleep. I am that way. So that's the moment that the survival self has taken over the identity of who you think you are. And it's not because you're broken at all. It's because it's not even because anything's wrong with your brain. Your brain is doing exactly what it should do. It thinks that there's a problem and you need to be alert to be prepared. So your nervous system thinks it's protecting you. So insomnia is not a malfunction. It is actually a misunderstanding. Your survival self thinks being awake right now is safer than falling asleep, which leads to the biggest reframing of all here, which is that you don't have a sleep disorder. You don't. I don't like labels. Throw away all the labels. You just have an overprotective pattern going on. And that's way less scary because we can fix this. So your brain isn't failing you. It's just overprotecting you. And once you understand that, the heaviness around this issue starts to dissolve. The anxiety starts to dissolve. And that leads to your nervous system also relaxing. Because now the goal isn't, I have to sleep tonight. I have to force myself to sleep. The goal becomes reassuring your body and your brain, your nervous system, that it is safe to let go. You don't have to be in this hyper alert state all of the time. And so this is where we untangle ourselves and we get out of this loop. We break free. We're like, be cut straight through and you're out. So you're not the I can't sleep version of you. That's just the survival self reacting from the old programming that it learned, either from childhood or from a life trigger that happened that sent your mind and body into survival mode. So your true self knows how to sleep. It remembers how to sleep. It always has known how to sleep. So now we just have to reconnect with your true self. And that's exactly what we're going to do next. So now that we understand that the survival self learned to identify as someone who can't sleep, and that your true self still knows how to sleep effortlessly, the question now becomes, how do we shift? How do we shift from other way, this way? How do we shift from one to the other? This is where embodiment comes in, because you don't change your identity by just kind of thinking about it. You change your identity by rehearsing a different version of you. You become who you are by rehearsing being that way. So let's break this down over here, okay? So we've got kind of like a hierarchy of the order of operations. Identity's at the top, then you've got thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and your results. So identity sits at the top. Behavior sits at the bottom. Behaviors are down here. Most people try to fix their sleep from the bottom. New supplements, sleep hygiene, routines, all the tricks, consistent sleep schedules. But that is the hard way. That's the hard way to do it. So we're actually going to shift it from the top. We're going to become the version of you, or I'm not going to become the version of you. You are going to become the version of you who sleeps naturally before the sleep starts improving. Because once your nervous system believes that you are the person who sleeps easily, your body follows. This is mental rehearsal. This is the heart of embodiment. Your subconscious does not know the difference between what is something that you imagine in your mind and something that is actually happening in front of you or in your life. So this is the same way that athletes train. Olympic athletes spend more time on mental rehearsal than physical practice. Because when the brain rehearses something, the nervous system starts treating that as familiar. And so then the body just follows and it gets into this flow state of the true self. So we're going to use the same principle here. So give me a second. I'm going to put something else on the whiteboard. All right, this is what you're going to do. And it is so simple. So simple. So the question that you are going to keep asking yourself is, what would it feel like? And then you're going to fill in with the best case scenario, your ideal best case scenario. What would it feel like if sleep was easy? What would it feel like waking up refreshed? What would it feel like going to bed with peace of mind without a care in the world? Wow. What would it feel like? So I'm going to walk you through this for a second so you can just kind of experience it. So close your eyes real quick, super quick, and you're just going to imagine. Eyes closed. Tonight, you lay down. Your body feels heavy. Your mind is quiet. Your breath is slow and relaxed. And sleep just comes to you naturally. No forcing, no effort, no strategy. Doesn't matter what time it is. Your body is just doing what it already knows how to do. Keep your eyes closed and now imagine waking up tomorrow. You stretch, you open your eyes real slowly. Your mind feels so clear, crystal clear. Your body feels so relaxed, so refreshed. You've got energy. You're like, boom, let's go. I've got this. I'm excited for today. Okay, you can come back to me. What are the emotions that you felt? What are the emotions that you felt that came with all of that? Was it, I put some here to kind of get you thinking, but what was it for you? Relief, calm, confidence, lightness, peace of mind. Maybe you felt alive in the morning. Maybe going to bed at night, it was just so easy. So whatever it is for you, just notice it and let that sit in your body for a second. And before we move on, I want you to choose one word that captures that feeling. Pick one word: peaceful, calm, free, light, confident, energized, alive. Comment this word below to anchor it in so that you remember that this is the feeling. This is the feeling that you are going to start intentionally generating with the power of your own mind. Because that feeling is not imaginary. It is real. It exists within you. You can call it to you at any time. Your nervous system knows how to generate it. You just haven't been activating it intentionally. So this is a remembering process, and your body responds to what you mentally rehearse. So this phrase, what would it feel like, is retraining your subconscious mind to now consider other possibilities. And when you open your mind to consider other possibilities, you will start to experience your life in a completely different way. You have the ability to generate these emotions at your command, at will. These feelings come up automatically when you give your mind the correct instructions. There are always ways to access these emotions. You just need to intentionally go there and activate it within you. So your job is now simple. You rehearse that feeling. You invite it into your body a few seconds at a time, a few times throughout the day. Make it part of your routine. You are creating your own experience by doing this. By asking yourself the question in this format, what would it feel like to feel whatever? What would it feel like to feel calm today? What would it feel like to feel totally relaxed today? Totally unbothered today? What would it feel like to feel full of life today? Full of joy today? This is my jam. This is my superpower. I've trained myself to become really good at imagining the best case scenario instead of the worst. And you too can develop this because this is a skill. Because your subconscious responds to what you rehearse. And when you rehearse the feelings of flow, trust, surrender, ease, feeling safe in your body, not feeling like all the pressure, the weight of the world is on you all of the time, your nervous system follows. You start placing more energy into remembering your true self rather than letting that survival self who we already erased run on autopilot. Your true self is the one who sleeps easily already. They are the one who trusts their body to sleep when it is ready. They are the one who doesn't even need sleep to be okay because they are okay by default. This is the return to your natural state, not by fixing anything, but by remembering what was always true. Now, here's what to do next. I have 2 free resources to help you keep going with this breakthrough. The first is to watch my free masterclass, and this is where I show you exactly how you have been accidentally sabotaging your sleep and how to retrain your subconscious to allow sleep automatically again. And the second resource is this video right here. It is the perfect follow-up to this one. I explain how I've been able to stay insomnia free for the past 7 years, and there's all sorts of truth bombs in this one, so go check it out now.